Hey, this is Gospel Musicians coming back at you. Part 2. All right. So part 2 is, let me make sure everything's recording. We got everything good. All right. So we got the overhead like this. All right. So part 2, we're going to talk about a little bit the navigation. All right. So as you can see, the home screen right here gives you the all three of the EPs. Okay. So we got all three of the EPs. We got a stage, we got the suitcase, and we got the whirly. The store is where you would go to purchase. You can hit more info, blah, 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 to get it. Help is the documentation, which is in iBooks format. So what you would do is you would open in iBooks. I wouldn't open in Dropbox. You would open in iBooks, and that's where you would open it up and you would get the documentation there, and it has videos and demonstrations too. Same thing here. So the key is you must have iBooks installed. iBooks doesn't necessarily come installed in your iOS. You have to download it, but it's free. All right, so let's go back home. Home is where you play. Home is where you do everything. All right, so let's go to the stage. All right, let's count how long it takes to boot up. All right, let's see if it's realistic. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000. So 6 seconds pretty much is what it takes to load. So let's just. Now, once again, let's talk about the little connections. I have the connection kit right here. I have the connection kit to my MIDI connected directly to my Motif XF. Okay. The thing about it, most keyboards within the last 5 years come with a USB MIDI. All right. So that USB MIDI goes out and it actually plugs up into the iPad. The thing is, there's certain smaller MIDI devices that require power, and the power is not strong enough to drive it. So what you do is you get your connection port kit. This is old school. Once again, I'm demonstrating on the iPad too. You get your connection kit and you just take the MIDI right from the Motif right on in. The Motif MoX works. I'm assuming that the Korg and all those other ones work too. Please correct me right in the comments. I haven't checked them all out yet, so I don't have every single keyboard. So you would have to check that out or look on some other websites and look on Google. So as it stands, this actually works. So it works, and I'm playing directly. There's no lag. Here's an update. I tried the Alesis IO dock. It's messing up. I tried to contact the Alesis. I told them, hey, I'm coming out with an awesome product. I'm coming out with Neo-Soul keys. I have the beta version of iOS 6.1. Can you please test it out? Because I'm seeing lagging. I would really like to sell this for you. And they said that they didn't test beta versions. So they wait for the version to come out. So as it stands right now, I cannot advise the Alesis IO dock on version 6.1.1 because the MIDI actually messes up. So there's some other stuff coming out that I'm going to demonstrate, and once it comes in, it's going to be good. I'm going to be using I'm going to try to use the new Apogee Duet, which has some awesome features. It's core MIDI built right in, and so I'm gonna try and demonstrate some other units with the Neo-Soul keys to see if they work. If Alesis is watching this right now, I would love an update. If you could email me or something, let me know if there's an update to see if it works. But as it stands right now, testing the Alesis IO dock, the MIDI is messed up. So our stage, our Neo-Soul stage, is the dirty stage. This is what I call the hip-hop Neo-Soul electric piano. Because you see guys on YouTube and they're jamming in the background and they got a stage EP and they're just killing it. And so the stage is a little different. It's not as creamy as the suitcase, and it's also a little more grungier. It's a little more dirty. So that gives you that dirty kind of feel. Now when I add the more dirt right there, you hear that? That's where the dirt comes from. So that's the dirty part. We hardly add you can add a vibrato on it, but a stage doesn't come with a vibrato. So I like to keep it dirty if I'm I'm going to use the vibrato. I use it with the suitcase. Now, so let's talk about processor. Let's talk about let's talk about this is an iPad 2. As I said previously, I wouldn't recommend this iPad 2 to work with Neo-So keys yet because there's some power limitations. And let me just crash it. I'm going to crash it in front of you. Once again, I have a bad habit of being honest. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to try and sell you something that's not going to work. I want it to work. Let's look. Pay attention closely to the processor as I'm just doing crazy stuff. As you see, you can hear some clicking, you can hear a little bit of popping. That's because it's like really working the RAM. If you look at the RAM usage on the RAM usage is about 214 meg, and the iPad 2 comes with 500 meg of RAM. Don't get RAM mixed up with flash RAM. If you got a 32 gig iPad and a 64 gig iPad and a 16 gig iPad, y'all both have the same system RAM. System RAM is capped off at 500 meg. The available RAM is storage RAM. So don't get storage RAM mixed up with system RAM. You move up to the iPad 3 and you get a gig of system RAM. You move up to the iPad 4 and not only do you get a gig of system RAM, but you get a better processor. So our tests have come back that the iPad 4, with everything on, slamming down on the keys, you can crest it up maybe at about maybe 70%. That's the max it'll go. Here, unfortunately, so I'm fine as I'm down at 60%. As I get at 50%, as I get up to about 60%, get a little bit of cracking. I was about 120%. So what I recommend, if you only have an iPad 2 and you're trying to run this, you hear the crackling. Let's just break it. Man, it's doing pretty good. You get a little bit of distortion, and maybe we can work something out and maybe fix that. But distortion, that's usually coming because of processor and RAM. So you're running out of resources. So I would say on the iPad 2, if you really want to use the iPad 2, you probably wouldn't have to use all these effects, because remember, the more you use, the more notes you use, and the more notes you use, the more processor it does. Now, this really doesn't turn down polyphony, but it seems to do a lot better. So let's just do the same thing. See, it seems to work a little better. So it is usable. The iPad 2 is usable. It's usable, but when I start getting into adding some extra stuff, let me just, see? And then when I start adding everything, let's add everything, turn everything up. Everything up. Let's turn the reverb, chorus, vibrato. Let's just, let's turn that down a little bit. Too much depth. So, still kind of doing good on 90%, 80%, 97%. It's hanging on in there. It's trying. Good thing is it hadn't crashed yet. So it's trying to keep up. It just can't. Look at the processor, guys. Let's just, let me just 95, 106. And it's still not bad. But if you play a normal way, you'll be good. So I did all that to show that the iPad 2, let's go back Let's open now. Let's open this Whirly. So the iPad 2 live performance, I don't think so. Maybe if you're just playing the sustained samples, what we're going to do is possibly come out with a light version to see if we can maybe lighten that up for you. But iPad 2 users, I don't think so. iPad 3, you're good. iPad 4, you're good. All right, so let's turn. You can't quite do a Whirly. So let's turn some of this stuff down. So let's look at some of the other aspects of this. So going from left to right, we got the back button. Midi sources. If you look up Midi sources, we got local. iOS has an ability to do MIDI through Wi-Fi, which is pretty darn cool. So we have that capabilities just in case you want to do that. To close this menu, to close this box, you just go back down to Midi sources and it closes. So on and then off. And then presets, which is cool. You can add a preset. So you hit plus and then you say test. Okay. And there you go. And then you hit presets again and you're off. So presets, you're right there. And so let me do something here. Let me change this all up. Change it all up, turn this on, change it all up. Now you see it's changed. Now let's go to presets. Hit it. Hit the, sorry. Activate. Sorry about that. We activated it. Presets down. I got a little glare on my screen. And it goes back to everything it was before. So we got the presets. The panic button. Just in case you get stuck notes. Main stage on Apple's main stage has a panic button. Logic Contact has a panic button. A panic button doesn't mean that you programmed something wrong or your samples are messed up. It just really is what happens in the nature of digital audio. Sometimes you get stuck notes. You got a panic button down there on your Logic. You got a panic button on your main stage, panic button on Contact. It just happens sometimes. So just in case you have a panic, you just hit the panic and it stops it. And you can go back, especially in live performance. Let's do this intensity right there. So there we go right there. And you got the treble, bass boost. And then so just to give you an idea of how you're doing, we gave you the CPU usage. That's the CPU that is used. And then we gave you the RAM usage. That's the RAM that it takes up. So I tried, my developer, and we kind of worked, we tried to keep the RAM, for you iPad 2 users that just really want to use it, we tried to keep the RAM down to about 200 meg. So what I would suggest is when you're on your iPad, the first thing you want to do to get this working, to optimize it, is to double click and close everything down. Close everything down to make sure nothing's running in the background. And now, the cool feature about the iOS is that it runs in the background. It runs in the background. What does that mean? Now, because it runs in the background, you can open up your GarageBand and play along with your GarageBand, okay? So I've never done that, and I will demonstrate that later. So that's the reason why we wanted to run it in the background, because iOS right now, it doesn't have the ability for you to run a whole bunch of different apps and take this music app and link it with this music app and do that. So we understand that. So I told my developer, let's see if we can run it in the background. And when you run it in the background, you'll be able to run your other apps. All right. So the next thing you want to do to optimize it, you want to put it in airplane mode. Now I can't put it in airplane mode now because I need the Wi-Fi to go back to my system. So airplane mode allows you to, you're not going to get any emails, you're not going to get any interference or anything coming through. It shuts everything down. So between turning it in airplane mode and closing everything down here, you're good to go. All right, so I didn't want to close that down. So we got there. And here you go. So this is the introduction to Neo-Soul Keys, iOS, iPad. If you want more information, visit neosoulkeys.com. We already have information about who we are and our Neo-Soul Keys. So let's go back. It's a free app. Well, it's not completely free because you're going to have some ads coming in. It's not completely free because we have a timeout, but we wanted to give you a chance to try it. We know you're not going to invest in something that you can't try. So we're giving you an opportunity to try it, support us. We thank you for everybody who supported us. And so once I get my iPad 4, hopefully we'll come back with some live demos to see, just see some cats jamming with it live. All right. So Gospel Musicians coming at you. Neo-Soul Keys for iOS. We're out.